Hello world, welcome to SD35 CareerEd's video on submitting a new employer for approval and creating an activity, job title, on myWEX.ca. Let's get to myWEX.ca. Once you are logged in to your account from the dashboard, we're going to go to the employer section, view employers. Next, we're going to go add employer. Oh, duplicate check. What does that say? Before adding a new employer to the district repository, search on employers, all statuses, not just active, to ensure there's not an existing employer with the same name and address. All right, let's check. So I am actually looking to place a student at 999 books. Nope, no employer is available. You can press enter or you can press the search button to search. Let's just try 999. Maybe it's listed as that. Nope, not that either. All right, so it's safe to say that we don't have this employer already in our database. We can see all the statuses are being searched and everything is being searched right now. So it's safe to say that we haven't worked with them yet. So let's go ahead with submitting this new employer. I'm going to complete this so you don't have to wait. There we go, it's done. So all the information is completed. You don't need to have every single bit of information in here, but the more you have, the better it is for us. Everything looks pretty self-explanatory. The primary contact details, this is the person authorized to make the placement, so it would be the manager, the owner, or something like that. Down below in the basic section, reserve, so this is for district use only. So at the school level, you should just leave it as a no. Exclusive school, you'll only see the schools that you've been assigned to in myWEX listed here. So please don't select that unless the employer has specifically requested that you be the only one to contact, but it's best not to even ask the question. Work study, this is reserved for the students on Marvin Mowatt's Modified Work Experience Program. So for regular schools, we will not be using this. Additional language, we will not be using this unless the employer has told us about a language that they use in the office that would be helpful, or if they would like someone to speak this language, maybe if it's a customer service job and they have customers that speak Hindi, and that would be a useful feature. So that is something you could add. And if you do need additional languages that aren't listed here, please ask one of the members at the SBO and in CareerEd, and we can add an additional language here. Minimum grade, technically students can participate in work experience as young as 14. So, but some employers may say, I only want to be working with grade 12 or 11 and higher students. So you could enter that in, again, if the employer has requested this. The WCB number is the WorkSafe ID number that is assigned to every company that has WorkSafe coverage. It is a 6 or a 9-digit number, and you can find this on WorkSafe's website when you generate the clearance letter. You will see another video showing you how to create that document, which is a required document to submit with your employer. The worksite analysis date is you have to visit the worksite for a new employer to be added into the system. So if you haven't done that yet, visit the site before doing all of this work, because we want to make sure that this employer is safe, will provide a good learning opportunities for our students before we go ahead and add it to our database. This will involve completing the WorkSafe student work placement form, and you will be able to find that in the WAVE documents for SD35. Put in the date that the site visit was conducted, and this will be valid for 3 years. Beyond that, another worksite analysis and that document will have to be completed again to make sure that everything is still up to standard in terms of the workplace safety and it's still being a good environment for students to be placed at. One-time use would just be used if the employer has said, we're only going to take students this one time. So if they do say that, maybe it's a temporary company, a pop-up shop, or an event that's a one-time thing, they could be set up as that, so that other schools know that there will not be any more opportunities with this employer. In the notes, please add a statement saying when you added this employer to the database, who added it, and at what your location you added it at. So this could be helpful to figure out who added this employer to the database at a later time. All right, everything looks good here now. Just have a check through, and now you can click Create Employer. All right, now we can see at the top of the screen we've got this new Submit to District for Approval. So stop, please don't press that button. Please don't press it, because it will make your life and our lives a bit more difficult and slow down the process for adding this employer onto myWEX. First, you got to go back down, and oh, now we've got Basic and all of these other tabs that we can get to. So let's get to the activities, and it's a lot easier to add activities now. And in fact, this is the only time you're going to be able to add activities to this employer. Until myWEX completes an update, you will have to ask one of us in SD35 Career Ed to add new activities and to change activities into the system, because at the school level you will not have access to be able to do this, unfortunately. So whenever you see the green button with the plus, that means you can add something to it. So go ahead. And we can take a look at the activity details here. Again, I'm going to complete this, and the next time I snap my fingers, we'll go over what all of the fields are. So we've got an activity description. Remember, this is the job title of book sorter, shelver, and shipper. It's quite a bit of things there. We only can pick from one activity type, which is the work placement. And please look through all of the current occupation codes. We'll try to clean this up because there are some that overlap a bit. So we can reduce this. But try to read through all of them and see what would be most appropriate for this opportunity. I'm going between sales assistant and library studies. Let's go with library studies. It involves a lot of sorting and that sort of thing. Maybe the student wants to be a librarian. Okay. So the next step down here will be to look at the primary contact. So if there is someone who's going to be responsible for this placement other than the manager, Bill Gates, then we could click no, and we would be able to enter in their information. Since it is the same person that is listed as the primary contact in the employer details, then it will just automatically populate this and save you some time. Generally, we wouldn't have a different address, so this should always be a yes. You would create a new employer if there was a different address that the employer would be operating out of. If they did have a sister location or a satellite location, then that might be an instance when you would use this. In the basic section, we've got the dress code, so just try to get this information from the employer, what they expect, and at a bare minimum, it should be school-appropriate clothing. So no offensive items on there, and appropriate. If it's appropriate to wear to the classroom, it would hopefully be appropriate on the job site, but they might have additional requirements and just say that long hair must be tied back for safety reasons if there's some equipment they're working with, and maybe if they're working with customers, they would have certain specifications that they need. It could also involve they have to wear black shoes and a white top and black pants, something like that, depending on the nature of the work. Safety equipment, this would be what's provided by the employer that the students would be using and expected to use. And let's say they need to have steel-toe boots. So the employer wouldn't be providing this. So this is something that I'm not good at typing and talking. that the student would have to purchase if they are going to participate in this work experience, as it maybe heavy books landing on people's feet causes injuries. So that would be a requirement. Job duties, um, be generally somewhat vague when describing this. We're not going to be able to say what machine they're using and which screwdriver, but if it's general statements such as this and additional duties as directed, then it basically covers most of the activities that the student would be um, completing while on their work experience and give us a general idea of what they're doing there. The work hours arrangement, if it is something that we can nail down and the employer has requested and the student has requested to have set days of the week and times of day that this will be happening, perfect. That makes it really clean and easy. But we definitely want to have some flexibility in here just in case business of hours change and closures and holidays and that sort of thing. So a statement like this is going to be very helpful for making sure that the student is covered by WorkSafe if this is an unpaid standard placement. So a big reason why we make the work experience agreements is to ensure that our students are covered by WorkSafe, and they are covered so long as they are within what is listed in the work experience agreement, which is what this information is going to help you create. So if you add in a statement saying that additional shifts can be agreed on between the student and the employer from Monday to Sunday, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. So basically the widest possible range that they would have it, then the student is covered. We're good. Additional shift changes and schedule changes will be sent to the WAVE teacher before the shift occurs. So the work and volunteer experience teacher will be the one to get that information before the shifts happen if something's happening outside of this time period here. Any additional notes, this will go in the work experience agreement. It depends on if this is required for this activity. All right, we're going to create this activity. Next section, we'll look at memos. We're probably not going to need to use that very much, but if there was something specific to this placement, please put a note there. Placements, we don't have any placements yet, and certificates. We are not using this field, so you don't need to worry about it. Back to the employer now. We can see that there's an activity listed. Constraints, only enter these if the employer has specifically said that they want to limit the amount of placements and students there, or they don't want to start until a certain date so that teachers are not contacting requesting placements. Prerequisites, these are the ones that are already listed in the system. If you need additional ones entered, please contact the SD35 Career Department so we can add these into myWEX and they will show up on yours to make sure that the students have the requirements of that activity and position while they're on their WAVE experience. A memo will be listed for the entire employer here. Documents, this is where you're going to upload the documents that are required for audit. So I'll just show you for one of them how to upload it. We're going to find it at the very top. Create document, and now you can see it's been attached to this employer. Placements, this is where you would see placements, but we cannot add them, and you'll see the green button there when we are able to add them. So just go over the whole document again, make sure that you have everything filled in as required. Pay particular attention to the activities because this is going to take some time to change later because it has to be manually done by the career department, and the rest of the details as well once it has been an approved employer. Everything looks good, so you can go ahead and submit to the district for approval. All right, we're not going to be able to edit this once it's submitted. Let's go for it. To track the status, go here.